live, and we do have a question in live as well, but we'll answer it now. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, and thanks to all of you who are participating on your devices, tweeting. It all helps this event and the success of it, so thank you. So there's been a little change in the schedule. Ina is unable to be with us due to her being ill, so we wish her well. So unfortunately, we will miss out on that. We may perhaps have a video from her that we can upload, and you can. This content will be available for you from each of the speakers, and this event is recorded. So again, you can all watch this back. If there's so much information you take in, this can all be watched back at a later date to suit you. Okay, so our last speaker, without further ado, a Monaghan man, Barry Hand. If you want to come up, Barry is a data and analytic expert. He helps many companies basically make better decisions with their data. So I will hand you over. He also is a trainer himself and a coach. So this standing up on the podium is a daily thing for Barry. So I'll hand you over.
Thank you very much. A bit easier standing here than it is maybe watching other people. It's kind of interesting. I saw that you have the two screens, and I can't see the screen from here, but you guys can see the screen. That's really don't. Actually, you guys will be seeing some horrible things. Look at this idiot, look at Stuart there. Whatever it might be. So what do I want to talk about? And first of all, when Laura asked me to come speak to you guys, she said to come and talk about some of the things of data and maybe show a couple of things that might be new, show a couple of things that get people on the right track. So what I want to do is just quite kind of briefly, really, just introduce a couple of concepts around web analytics, around specifically Google Analytics. And as we get into it, I'll maybe pull apart and ask you some questions of what we're doing. Essentially, what I want to talk about is the power of segments and segmentation. It doesn't sound like the sexiest topic in the world, but we'll try and relate a little bit as stuff that you guys know about already. So Laura mentioned, essentially what I do is I help people and companies just be better at data. That's what it all kind of boils down to. I work with lots of different companies, startups, established business, all around the world, wherever it might be. And one kind of truism just from working with people in a company as well as lecturing and training is that when it comes to data analytics, people are a little bit kind of scared. A little bit kind of like, this is going to involve a lot of maths, or this is something that's kind of difficult, or I don't really understand it. And when it comes to something like Google Analytics, has anybody here used Google Analytics? A couple of people have, and some other people heard of Google Analytics? Yeah, probably heard of it. I'm going to say something that is probably not a popular opinion, but the vast majority of people using web analytics and using Google Analytics just shouldn't bother. Just shouldn't bother, because they're not really being able to interpret analytics in the sense of how they already know business and marketing works. So they kind of come to analytics and hoping it just tells them the answer is something, and then that's the answer and that's what they should do. It doesn't really work like that. They kind of lose all perception of how you'd actually look at information, how you'd interpret information, how you'd analyze information like that. So you don't need to be a rock star at analytics. You don't need to be somebody who knows a lot about data or a lot about maths or any of those things. You just need a pretty solid head on your shoulders. So here's another thing that's quite true when it comes to analytics. Probably about 10% of analytics is the tool, and 90% is you. That's kind of interesting. The vast majority of benefit you'll get from analytics is about you. So that's why I try to help people be better with it. What does your data make you do differently? The information you have, we've all got data, right? You've all got access to some kind of information. When it comes to web analytics, and those of you guys that use Google Analytics, you log in, you get all this information, it's overwhelming, there's loads of data points, all this stuff. You kind of assume you should know what it means, because it's on the screen, it's in a report, you know how to use a computer, so you should know this. It's your responsibility, or whatever it might be. But I think good data makes you do something different. Good data should make you sit up and take notice. Okay, I can do something with that. 10% of the tool, 90% of you, will go ahead and do something with it. So this is a really interesting question. Next time you're looking at any kind of information, any data, if it comes to websites, performance campaigns, marketing, that stuff, what would this make us do differently? How is this going to help us? Because there's lots of nice to know things. And this is where we're saying that the vast majority of people shouldn't bother with analytics because they're just going to use their gut instinct, right? They're going to look at something and they're kind of maybe going to believe it or not or whatever, and then just make some assumptions and go ahead and do what they want to do. Going to use their gut instinct. Sounds like it isn't true, but trust me, the vast majority of people are just going to use their gut instinct. Billions of years of evolution. So with your gut versus hokey data, I think that's why people kind of are towards it. So when it comes to data, we've got, just before in some of the presentations before, there's a huge amount of information in data. We're really swimming in data. Data. Big data, small data. Everywhere, isn't it? And so there's a lot of pressure on us that if we have access to it, then we must know the answers, right? You've got the analytics. Tell us what to do next. It's kind of assumption from the head of the company to the intern who's just started working for the summer that whoever is access to analytics has the answers. Do you have the analytics? Yes or no. There's really no in between. That's kind of scary. So whatever we big data, we're not too sure what to do with some of the data that we have. I don't think it's a case of us starting to get more information or more data. It's the way that we think about it. So when it comes to digital, we suddenly think with data completely differently than we would traditionally. Even though digital is the thing that has obviously been sold to us that this is going to improve our business. It's online, it's digital, we've got all access to this information, research, all this stuff. We should be able to be doing better than we are, but unfortunately we're just swimming in it. So let me show you a couple of examples, or let me just quickly kind of introduce Google Analytics. For those of you who've maybe never used it before, Google Analytics, it's on your website, it's free as in beer, it's widely used, easy implemented, and it's pretty powerful. It can do a lot of good things. So there's no real barrier to entry. It's used by the vast majority of websites around the world. Small businesses, big businesses will use Google Analytics to understand when people come to their website, what they do, how to improve their business. And here's the thing, just when I'm getting you to kind of think a little bit more about data, I mean, what is the point with analytics? Why would we even be bothered with it? What's the outcome of it? It should be able to help us improve our business, make more money, reduce our costs, be more effective in our campaigns, understand our users better, develop, whatever it might be. I mean, that's the reason why we'd use it. Otherwise, why would you bother? Otherwise, they're just reports. And getting stuff in reports pretty good. It's a hard sell as well. So the vast majority of data that sits in analytics, and most web analytics packages, is in aggregated format. So aggregation is everything together. So everyone who visits the website, all that data gets bundled together and we can view it. It's a big homogeneous blob of information. It's very hard to get any insight from that. But we've always known that. We just really haven't thought too much about it when it comes to digital. If you take any business, any traditional business, like a shoe shop up the town, and maybe they're trying to analyze who their customers are, and they've got all this sales data, and you ask them, well, what's your typical customer? Well, that would be pretty hard to answer, wouldn't it? What is the typical customer? The average of everything? That would be crazy. The average customer is half male, half female, part child, wears a size 7. I mean, that would be ridiculous, right? It'd be ridiculous. So when it comes to web analytics, we have the capability to do some better analysis. We can do that in segments. Your typical customer, break it down into different segments. Those segments can be whatever that business is: gender, the type of product, the value of the customer, whatever it has to be. So finding any insight in aggregated data, everything together, is pretty damn hard to find a needle in the haystack. So first of all, we have to try and apply all of that. So let's have a look at a typical report in Google Analytics. This is the demographic report. So demographic report basically shows you information about users who access your website, whether they're male, female, and their age breakdown. We don't ask them this information because Google already has the data and it will share it with us. So this is a report. And this information here is shown as the breakdown of age and gender for our users. Google being Google, for some reason, don't always do things that would make sense. For some reason, all the charts are in shades of blue. Makes no sense to me. It can be difficult to see. So this report is shrug your shoulders, nice to know. And this is the kind of report that most people using analytics would look at and try to draw some conclusion from. Most of the visitors to our site are, well, they're mainly female and they're mainly 25 to 34. It's not really do anything with it. It's really usage of that. So what would be a useful way to break this information down? Well, really basically, you can break it down between those who are customers and those who aren't customers. That would be interesting. This is just everybody. This is the big aggregated bit of information. So we do that with segments. It's one of the most powerful features within analytics. It's one of the most underused. So to apply a segment to that there, we can take on the left-hand side in the blue, we can look at our customers, and on the right-hand side in the orange, we can look at our non-customers. So even just by that alone, we're segmenting out the difference between those who buy and those who don't. Why would you do that? Well, the further you understand those who buy, better, right? The more you understand those who don't, better. We can help remove some obstacles that they have. We can look a bit further into it. Where are they coming from? What traffic source? That was interesting. It's like a clue has been revealed. So even just like simple segmentation can help you dig deeper into it, right? So we want to get away from reporting, nice to know, we got this, we got that, into segmentation. Now you're trying to analyze and trying to get some insight. So let's look at something else. I know there's a lot of information on the screen, but this is an enhanced e-commerce report called shopping behavior. In the world of web analytics, up until very recently, we've been obsessed with conversion, the information that happens at a conversion point. So basically, we've been obsessed with the till in a shop, the information that's in the till, the products that were sold, the value of the products. But increasingly, we're becoming more interested in what happens before that. The till is only going to tell us what was sold. Before that's going to tell us what was shopped. You know, to use that shoe shop analogy again, to try and understand what happens before people pick up a box and go and pay for it. So this report here, like I said, has a lot of information. But one of the most powerful things within it is that it can help us understand, in this case here, the top blue box, sessions with product views. Now, that's a little bit of analytics jargon, but essentially what it means is that sessions who view the product. So sessions is when a user comes to a website, a session starts, okay? So sessions who view the product. In the shoe shop analogy, people come into the shop and they look at the shoes, okay? But what's usually interesting, what's usually pretty eye-opening, is that the vast majority of people who come to websites that sell stuff don't look at products. So if you're trying to improve this business, be it online or be it offline, then it makes sense that, you know, in order to sell more things, maybe it's a good idea to get them to view the product. We're not making a massive leap of faith. Those who don't view a product, what do we know about them? What's their behavior? Where do they come from? What do they do? How do we get less of these guys? How do we get more people who view products? On the bottom here, I have a little cutout that says no shopping activity. So that's a segment. So now we're looking at all of our data together and breaking down those who had no shopping activity. Right, this is the starting point. This is the 90% of what really gets some insight. This is where I can start going and trying to understand what the hell's going on. Why aren't they doing any shopping? Too often we focus on the end point, on the conversion. The shoe shop wants to sell more shoes. If this was our job, we are all working for this massive shoe shop, and our target is to sell more shoes. We'd all have a million different ideas of how to do that. What we should really try to understand is the precursors, things that happen beforehand. Those who do shop, those who do view products, those who do buy, what do we know about them? Again, this is stuff that we already know in the real world, right? So I'm not going to blow your mind by telling you that those who try on shoes are more likely to buy shoes. All right? That's not new information. Those who view products on your website are more likely to buy. Not new information. So that's where we should analyze. Now, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to get people to try on shoes than it is to buy, right? Because it's way earlier in the shopping stage. So by segmenting, wherever your business might work, that's what it helps us do. That's why it's important. So there's a lot of different ways to view segments. So here's an example of what I call a standard report, a typical report that you would use in analytics. If you can appreciate it, it's hard to see what's there, but I can tell you what's on the screen basically. This is where traffic is coming from. Traffic sources. It's called a channel report, the acquisition channel. So every user who comes to your website has to come from somewhere, even if that somewhere was nowhere. So they may have clicked the link on social media, they may have clicked the link on another website, they may have clicked an ad, they may have done none of those things, they may have come directly to your website, whatever it might be. We have a way of categorizing each of those users. It's not important information, totally. Imagine people coming into a shoe shop, and each time they come into the shoe shop, we can apply a little label to them that says where they came from. right? Oh, they heard a radio ad, or they saw an ad in the newspaper, or their friend told them to come into this shop, or do you know what? They've been to this shop loads of times. They're one of our really loyal customers. We can apply these little labels as they come into the shoe shop, and after a period of time, everyone's got lots of labels. So we can say, okay, show me customers, or show me customers who have bought this product, or have come from a radio ads, or have come from this, or referred, or high value, and we're segmenting them out, trying to understand what's going on. That's where you get insight. That's where you start trying to understand. That's where you start being able to use this data to do something more than, hey, we got this amount of traffic from here, and this is what we sold. But one thing about what's become increasingly important is websites have changed a lot. 10 years ago, every website was pretty linear. I mean linear is you come to the home page, the product page, the shopping cart page, the thanks for shopping. They're all pages. And the way analytics works is that each time a page loads, it captures bits of information. So it needs to have a place where it can do that, right? And a page loading, a new page, navigating through a website is the most and the easiest way to do it. But what happens when things happen when you don't go to a new page? This is how, but every website that you guys have used pretty much works with this. What happens when you go to a website and you press play on a video? A new page doesn't load. Or you interact with something, you fill out a form, or maybe you're using a calculator, or you're just scrolling, or you're navigating, or you're doing anything on a website that doesn't involve a page being loaded. So all the space in between, we don't have any data. We need a method of capturing that. And the main method is using something called events. So again, we can apply a tag or a label to a user as they perform an event, because it allows us more contextual information. So the shoe shop, they came in the shoe shop, we can apply a label. What happens when they maybe browse a product or lift up something or ask someone for help? We don't have that information. So what I'm saying is events allows us to capture it. Would it be really interesting to segment based on behavior? Like when it comes to websites, those who view the video, are they more or less likely to buy? Those who perform this action, are they more or less likely to perform this other action? We're trying to sort of work all of these things out. It's very specific to your own business and your own website. Every website's different. Well, by being able to segment it, that's where you're going to get some insight. And that's the interesting part. The reporting part is just, we had this many people to our website and this many people played the video. That's no real use. You can't do anything with it. The 10% part of the tool is kind of working, but the 90% part of you is not working at all. So let's look at something here. This is an e-commerce report showing products. There's only two bits of information I want to look at here. This is the average price and the average quantity. So for everyone who came to this particular website, this is the average price for the products that they bought and the average quantity, the average of everything. And the average is here, the average quantity is 2.64. So if you're asking what's a typical customer, how many items does a typical customer buy, then 2.64 is technically the answer to that. It's not really. We sometimes don't question this information. Average customer buys 2.64? Really? What if a customer buys 1? Customer buys 2, customer buys 10. Would it make more sense to segment it like that? It's so obvious, because that's how business works. You know so much more about analytics just by knowing about the business. Some customers buy 1 thing, some buy 2, some buy 3 or more. We categorize them differently. People who buy like 1 product, those who buy multiples, whatever it might be. We can apply those segments. Within analytics, we can create those segments. We can look through all of our data with just the lens, and I've created a couple of segments here. One is where they only buy 1 item, one where they buy 2 items, and one they buy 3 or more items. With vastly different amounts of revenue. In this case here, those who buy 3 or more items is 50% of the revenue. 50% of the customers buy 3 or more. There's no such thing as the average customer. It's very hard to do anything with an average. So segmenting users based on something like this gives greater insight. It's definitely true. So think about your own business, your own experience, your own whatever it might be that you have access to. You definitely have different types of users. How do you know what they are? Maybe you don't know what they are. That's why you would maybe go down the rabbit hole of segmenting in the first place to try and understand it. But then you have it. So we could say we have 3 types of customers. Those who buy 1 item, those who buy 2, and those who buy 3 or more, both items. completely different types of customers with probably completely different types of needs. Are they first-time customers, repeat customers? All of that information is hugely interesting. We can do something with it. We can even take, like those tags that we're applying to users, we can take those tags and group them together. Like all social media traffic we can group together, and then we can look at all our information just through this lens of social media traffic. We can look at any number of the reports, where they come from, like geographically, where they come from, which particular social media channel they came from, or social media site that they came from, the products that they're engaging with, the products that they're buying. We could have this segment just view like that. We can go really deep in it. If you want to find out customers who buy more than 2 items, who visit the site 5 times in total, last visit the site last Tuesday, their typical session duration lasts 2 minutes, and they're browsing the site from County Cavan, you can do that if you want. All that information is captured. You can create a segment based on that. The more you understand about your users, the better. In many ways, any of us could stand in the shoe shop for about an hour and have a pretty good idea how that business works. Who the customers are, maybe how much revenue they make, what's going to happen, where the bottlenecks are, because we're visually looking at it. But when it comes to online websites, we can't. So we have to use this. So much more than we probably know offline. We're only really getting to grips with this. But it's pretty powerful. We can do all of those things. So there's two last things I just wanted to mention. Why would you do any of this segmentation? Obviously, to get a bit of insight and come up with some ideas and improve your business, reduce your costs, improve your marketing activity. But within Google Analytics, there's 2 tools that actually fit really nicely with this. We can take our audiences, our segments, and push them into AdWords. So let's say, for example, we create a segment that users who come from social media who view a product who don't purchase, then we can push that segment of that audience into Google AdWords and target those users through Google AdWords. If you've ever experienced what seems like ads following you around, it's kind of what's happening here. We're retargeting. Does it make sense for us to do that? Wouldn't it be great for the shoe shop to be able to target those who tried on a pair of shoes but didn't buy, to bring them back in? As horrible marketers make them up. There's another tool emerging which you should definitely be interested in. It's something called Google Optimize. It's primarily an A/B testing tool, but really it's a personalization tool. What about users who come from social media, who viewed a product who didn't purchase? We can push that segment into Google Optimize and personalize their experience. Websites are kind of made one size fits all. Maybe for that particular segment, we could serve different content on the homepage. We could promote the products that maybe they're more interested in. And the shoe shop kind of has to show everybody, has to show all the shoes. Sportswear, men, women, sizes, occasion. But what about if we knew some information that the user was most interested in, maybe occasion footwear? That we could serve that back to them. We could personalize their experience doing something like this. So segmentation is pretty powerful. I mean, the capability is going to become more important. But trust me, if you end up working with businesses that are selling things online, your ability to segment is going to differentiate you from everybody else. And especially in Ireland right now, where there's not a huge amount of capability, this is something that you could do that others can't. Why are you doing it? To improve your career? Possibly. To improve your business? Probably. We can prove it in pretty good space. So that's pretty short. Just a couple of things just to get you thinking about segmentation. But don't be one of the people who are just wasting your time with analytics. Be one of those who's inquisitive. 90% is on you, 10% is on the tool. The more you know, and the more you can do, the better. So lastly, 3 things to become a better marketer by really understanding users. One is, what's your do different data? What is the data that's going to make you do things differently? What information do you need to capture that will help you understand what's going on? If you have video on your website, maybe track if the videos are interacted with. If you've got calculators, tools, if there's things that happen on your site, chat, whatever it might be, that's important, that will help you understand the performance of the site, performance of users, let's get that information. More granular information on products. Simple things. Travel websites, for example, typically don't capture lead time. The difference between when something is being searched for and when they propose to go on holiday, whatever it might be. Don't worry about how technically this is done. There's a bunch of nerds who work it out first. Living the Google Analytics, lots of people use it, so all your issues have already been overcome. Develop segments. So if you think about it, you're probably trying to develop personas because that's who you're targeting. Are those personas reflected in this data? They are awesome. Do it. And then how do you get some insight? What insight can you draw from this analysis? Is there different types of customers? Did they come from different places? Did they buy different things? Did they do things differently? What can we do with that information? How do we change? How do these different segments behave on the same website differently? Pretty interesting. That's where you're going to get some insight. I've never found marketers who are short on ideas. We give them a little bit of data, and those ideas are usually profitable. Thank you.